All right, so I have here some watercolor paper, and I'm gonna get started on this landscape. So you can either plan ahead and sketch it out a little bit, or you can just paint on there, tone your paper, and see how it turns out and kind of pick out your landscape from there. So I'm going to do the one where I plan ahead a little bit. So I have, I'm thinking about the forwards to backwards, where I want the space to be, where I want the distance to be, and where I want the foreground to be. So I have a source image here that I'm kind of looking at for inspiration, just kind of loosely. I like how the lightness is focused here, and it gets darker as you come forwards. All right, so I have that off to the side. So I'm looking at that as loose inspiration. All right, so I'm gonna think about, so this, I have a mechanical pencil. I'm resting my hand here, and I'm going to use very, very light pressure. All right, so I'm just, kind of thinking about here. It's gonna be where my light is. Okay, so I'm really trying to make very minimal marks on this paper. Okay. So I'm showing the little pieces of land kind of overlapping. Okay, this is going to kind of come up here, and then, down here in the front. It's going to be where all of the dark stuff is. Okay, so I'm going to tone my paper. First, water. Okay, so I'm going to saturate this entire paper with water. Again, using a bigger brush is going to be nicer for you to do this. All right. Again, it may look like I'm scrubbing here, but I am using very, very little pressure, losing a couple little hairs from my paintbrush onto this paper here. All right, one of the things I talked about last week was that I wished I had gone a little bit darker with my paint so that I could use the white more. All right, and I am going to try very hard not to make the same mistake this week. By not blotting out too much and trying to go a little bit what seems like overboard with my paint, with the dark value, knowing that it's going to dry lighter. All right, now every paper behaves so differently, and this paper is way different than the one I was using last week. All right, I apologize for my cat. He doesn't realize I'm shooting a video. All right, there we go. Paper's nice and wet. I'm going to get some paint. All right, so I have some ultramarine blue here. I like what happened last week with the mix of ultramarine blue and raw umber. So I'm going to get some raw umber in here. There we go. That's very nice. All right. Very, very nice, soft, hot press watercolor paper. So I'm going to try to not get this too light anywhere so that I can go in with the white colored pencil, with the white media, when this is dry. All right, so I'm really trying to scrub on here to get some of that nice dark value as I go down. How about some more blue? So I have two colors here, doing a warm cool using ultramarine blue and raw umber. Right, so look at the fun, so much fun with this blooming of this watercolors on there. Right, I'm going to start with, ooh, didn't get that part up there, that's okay. Starting with some darkness up here. If a little bit of blooming and stuff happens, that's totally fun, totally okay. And again, I am really trying to not leave anything bright here. Okay, getting some more of this ultramarine blue, getting more of this burnt umber. You can see I didn't mix it up too much on my palette, and it's separating a little bit on here, which is fine. At least it doesn't bother me. All right, so really trying to get this nice dark color down here in the foreground. I'm going to pop a little bit more darkness up there in the top. Ooh, very nice and dark. I'm just bringing it down. I'm remembering last time when it dried lighter than I wanted. So I'm just putting a little bit more value on there. If you want to get some of the start of some of the trees and whatever, or whatever it is that you're drawing, if you want to get some of that detail with the brush, feel free. All right, so this is super wet right now, so I'm not going to get a lot of fine detail, but I can, I can do stuff like this. As long as you have the attitude that if something funky happens and it bleeds out of control, if you're okay with that, then you're good to go. That is fun. So you can do this with a brush depending on whatever brush you have, or you can kind of save it for your pencil, depending on how detailed this landscape is versus how not detailed it is. All right, and while I'm at it, I'm going to pop some stuff in the foreground here that's really dark, or at least that I feel like it's really dark. We'll see what it actually looks like when it dries. And I'm doing this, and I think that whatever I did here and whatever I did in this foreground are too close to each other. It's making me unhappy. It's not enough variety. It's too much of a mirror of each other. So I'm going to change one or the other. Maybe what I'll do is blend this in here. Make this one kind of go this way. And then for this one that's in the foreground, I'll change it up. Right, so let's get some dark blue, some really, really darkness. There we go. Right, just popping some darkness in there. Again, remember to be very gentle to this paper. We are going to draw upon it. So try to be light with your pressure. Try not to scrub, right? So I'm going to put some of this kind of stuff in there. All right. Wait for it to dry. Oh, actually, I see this drying. I see it light, all right? Lightness. The scourge of my existence. I'm going to put just some more value on here. And again, I see this paper starting to get a little bit fuzzed, so as much as I talk about trying to be gentle, I was not gentle enough. So I'm going to be really super delicate. All right, put a little more on here. All right, so for the last few minutes of painting this, I sped up the film speed, so you can just kind of watch what I'm doing. I'm just trying to add a little bit more darkness around the periphery, so that I could be more sparing with my lights. All right, so I'm just about done with the water portion, and I'm going to start on the drawing portion with my white and black drawing media. So here you can see, this is a time lapse, so this is way, way, way sped up. All right, so I have this light area in the right corner behind the horizon that I'm trying to, so I can't go that much lighter with the pencil, so my strategy is to make everything darker, right? So I'm using the side of the colored pencil to try to get some clouds and stuff up near the top. I'm trying to make the bottom right and the bottom left a little bit darker to make the lights more sparing, and so it makes them for more of a dramatic scene. It's fun how you can get some more little details in there. The little branches and twigs of the trees and everything are really fun to do with a very nice sharp pencil. So I'm trying to get what I talked about in my earlier video, which is the difference between foreground and background. So darker close up, lighter as it goes back deep into space, and I have some repeating shapes that are large close up and small far away.